Hi everyone, this is APO Sports, and today we're going to talk about the game between the Indiana Fever and the Dallas Wings, where the Indiana Fever defeated the Dallas Wings 110 to 109. We actually have a lot to talk about. You know, how one game, it seems like every game there is just so much to discuss, so much to uncover, just so many different like storylines developing. It's crazy. Um, and again, I know this is a little bit late, but my time zone is Japan Standard Time. So whenever the game ends, for me, it's Monday morning, like Monday, 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning, and then I have to go to work. So then when I come back to work, that's when I have an opportunity to do these post game reactions. So, but you can still look at it and kind of think about everything that happened last night because a lot of things developed way after the game. And there are two things that I'm going to talk about that you're not going to want to miss. And one of them is the NaLyssa Smith tweet, and what that tells us. Like, there's a lot of suspicion that I had about the what was going on with the Fever organization. And this tweet by NaLyssa Smith pretty much just confirmed it. So if you just want to head that's probably the first thing. Well, one of the first things that I'm going to talk about. But if you want to just go straight to that and you don't care about the rest of this stuff, you can just go below to the times. I have had timestamps. So you can go to where I discuss the tweet by NaLyssa Smith. And then there's another thing that you're not going to want to miss, and that's some revelations with some more statistics. And this is in regards to two-man lineups and what that tells us about rotations and what that tells us about the lineups that Christy Sides is deploying. So those two things I really think that you should watch. And also for the two-man lineup situation, whatever you can do to to help try to put this out there, because if this gets uncovered, I think if the Indiana Fever know that this is actually happening, then maybe they can do something to change things up before the playoffs or by just in time for the beginning of the playoffs. So, and again, we'll have timestamps for that here below, or we have timestamps for that right here below. And if you can't click on it, you can just go to the description, and the description should have the timestamps where you can just click on it. So the first thing before we get into the box score, before we get into the other numbers, the first thing that I want to talk about is this NaLyssa Smith tweet. And actually, I'm going to bring it up right now. So here's the tweet by NaLyssa Smith. This pretty much happened right after the game ended, like, I don't know, not even 30 minutes after the game ended. She went to X or Twitter or whatever, and she posted this. Now, this post has been deleted, has since been deleted. It was out there for a while, but maybe, she was getting so many comments and so many people saying, this is really bad, this is a bad look, and she was trying to fight it for a little bit, but then she deleted it, I guess. Maybe someone within the Fever organization told her to delete it. So essentially, for context, NaLyssa Smith was playing in the first quarter. She's playing well. I think she scored all her 8 points in the first quarter, 6 or 8 points in the first quarter. And then during that game and during that time, and it's interesting because I thought the Sun had a game around that time too versus the Aces. So I don't know when Carrington was able to fire away this tweet. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't want to start anything too crazy to make up storylines where there aren't there. I just get the impression. I wasn't paying attention to that Aces game at all, so I don't know. But anyways, she fires this tweet saying, "See what happens when my girl gets some touches," right? So Dejanay Carrington and NaLyssa Smith are in a relationship, each other's significant other, I guess. So of course, Dejanay is trying to pay attention, and it seems like both of them are aware and have had discussions about the lack of playing time and the lack of touches that NaLyssa Smith is getting. So, as we know, after the second, third, fourth quarter, she didn't score anymore. And then I don't know, like after the beginning of the third quarter, maybe half of the third quarter, she was subbed out and she never came back into the game again, which was a great call. One of the not many great calls that Christy Sides makes, but that was a great call by Christy Sides. So, you know, doesn't play anymore. Of course, Fever win. But even, and I've said this before, you can find one of my videos from before, some of the post-game reactions that I've had, specifically talking about NaLyssa Smith. And I said that NaLyssa Smith is one of the type of players who, as soon as the game ends, they go back and look at their, at the box score. And they're not really that concerned with the win or loss column. They're concerned with the numbers right next to their name, right? So if there it doesn't say a certain amount of points that doesn't meet their satisfaction, they're not gonna be that happy. Because here, really, the first tweet that if she was a team player, someone who's concerned about winning, then the tweet would be something about the success of the team, or maybe retweeting the Indiana Fever account when they say, we won. But no, her first tweet was to essentially bemoan about the fact that she didn't get any more touches after the first quarter. So she says, "Fun while it lasted, babe," and laughs. So here is what this tells me about the Fever organization, is that there is a clear lack of leadership. There is a clear lack of communication and transparency. All of those things are lacking in that locker room, and that is bad. That is toxic. That is not conducive to a winning organization, to a successful organization. Because if someone has sat down with NaLyssa Smith and told her what the game plan is, and whatever, if the game plan, I don't know if there is one, but if there is one, that game plan is definitely flawed. If it includes, NaLyssa Smith in it to close out games. So it's not clear to NaLyssa Smith that she's not going to be playing major minutes in the fourth quarter. She doesn't know that. No one has told her that. No one has sat her down and said, "Hey, NaLyssa, I just want to, yeah, you're going to be a starter. You're still a key piece of, of our team. But I just want to let you know that we don't plan to play you in the fourth quarter because, this combination of players is actually, helping us with the winning, and it just doesn't fit what we're trying to do with the personnel on the floor. So you're not, just want to be transparent with you. You're not going to be playing down the stretch." If that was communicated to Smith in one way or another, and maybe she hates it, right? Maybe she hates it. Maybe she tries to argue it. Maybe she's mad as hell. But at least someone told her, and at least someone was upfront with her. Because as a leader and as a coach, not everyone is supposed to like you, right? That's not what you're there. You're not there for people to like you. That's just what happens, right? You try to do your best. You try to take care of people. You try to, take care of them. But you have to know you're going to piss someone off or many people off. That's just how it goes. That's what it is. And you have to be okay with that. Does it suck? Yeah, of course it sucks. Do we would like everyone to like us? Of course we would like everyone to like us. But that's not how this thing works. Leadership sucks. Leadership is hard. Leadership is not easy. If you are not hanging over yourself and don't understand these basic things, then you can't lead. It's just as simple as that. So someone has to sit her down and tell her that. If someone had done that, if these things had been communicated and there was some transparency in that organization, there is no way NaLyssa Smith would ever tweet something like this. There is absolutely no way. What are the chances that if, she could be mad about everything else, but what are the chances that she blasts this type of tweet if she already knows beforehand that she's just not part of the lineup that closes or that plays big minutes in the fourth quarter? They're really low. This doesn't happen. But what this did is just uncover the problems that really exist in the organization. I just don't know how they fix it. I really don't know how they fix it. If they haven't identified that there is a lack of leadership in that organization, then I don't know what they're doing, how they run in business, or how they expect to win or be successful. And the other problem that exists right now, because typically you have, maybe you have a lack of leadership at management level or at the coaching level. And what I mean lack of leadership is that lack of confrontation that is needed to have a heart to heart with another individual. A lot of people just don't like confrontation, and that's okay. to an extent, but you shouldn't be afraid of confrontation if you're a head coach. You shouldn't be afraid that someone's going to be mad at you and you're the head coach. There's just no way. But what happens with some teams, like one example of a team that I can think about is the Miami Heat, that maybe Spoelstra's not that guy, maybe management or Pat Riley no longer wants to be that guy, but you have a player on the floor who doesn't really bring a lot of value. Like, this person never played, Udonis Haslem. He's the leader with these players. So if someone needs to get on someone else's face to kind of tell them how it is so that they understand, that for the Heat was Udonis Haslem. This team doesn't have that. Everybody's too nice, and it's okay. And I'm not saying that being too nice is bad, but you need someone who tells it like it is. In every organization, as long as their head is straight, right? As long as their head's straight and they understand the overall vision, you need someone who tells it like it is so that people understand. Like someone that NaLyssa Smith can understand. Who there can truly have that heart to heart with NaLyssa Smith, to where NaLyssa Smith can receive it in a way that she actually feels like people care about her. Not in this way where she feels like she's being dismissed and not valued. Because once you do that, then you've lost her, right? You've lost her. If you say, hey, you suck and we want you on the team because you don't fit this team, then you're going to shut her off. But you have to find an effective and creative way to sell to NaLyssa Smith why it's better for the team that she doesn't play in the fourth quarter. And it's not easy, but you have to find it. You've got to find it. You've got to quarterback this. You have meetings. Do you guys not have meetings? Do you guys not talk about how to engage with all of these players? I'm just lost. I'm really lost. But anyways, I don't want to go too much in depth with this tweet. The tweet told me everything that I needed to know about the lack of leadership in the organization. And I don't know how they fix it, because leadership is not something that you find in a cereal box and you're like, oh yeah, here's leadership, let's sprinkle it around the organization. Like, if no one in there has realized that that's lacking, then I don't know. Good luck. Anyway, so that's that's my take on the NaLyssa Smith tweet. It just uncovers a lot more. And of course, yeah, everybody's attacking NaLyssa Smith. And of course, yeah, it has all these different signs that she's not a good teammate. And it's funny because I had just complimented her in my video. I posted up here the player spotlight that I did on NaLyssa Smith, where I thought I took an angle of fighting for NaLyssa Smith to try to explain, how she must feel being in this situation and this challenging situation for her. And I even said that I was impressed with that, even though she knows that she's not getting big minutes in the fourth quarter, she was still very supportive of her teammates. And then this happens and just throws my entire argument out the window. But also, and I'm going to get to this with Katie Lou Samuelson as well, but why am I the one fighting for these players? Like, this is not my job. I could just take the same, I could take the same stance as every other commentator or every other YouTuber who's just sweeping the floor with these players, going off on them, and just get the likes and get the views and get the reactions that people want to see. Because that's what people seems to want to see. It's just the reactions like, get NaLyssa Smith out of here, get Katie Lou out of here, they suck, they don't belong on the floor, all this different stuff. And why am I fighting for them? This is not my job. My job is just to commentate. And, this is not even a job. I do this shit as a hobby. I don't get paid. I don't have enough subscribers or hours watched to get paid on YouTube. So this shit I'm doing strictly for free. Why am I defending these players? I actually got a bunch of dislikes on my last video about NaLyssa Smith. People were mad that I was trying to make a case and trying to paint NaLyssa Smith in a good light. People didn't like, so why am I defending them? This is the coach's job, to make sure that, kind of course correct the narrative that's going around with their players. You know who did this really well? Greg Popovich did a great job whenever he was starting to see some media getting on his players, or the fans getting on his players. He'd set the record straight in a press conference and tell them about their struggles and how hard they're working and the challenge, putting himself in their shoes to explain that. And then it'll create some sympathy from the media, from the fans about a specific player. But here it's just, oh yeah, let them burn. Let them crash and burn. I'll be talking about Katie Lou here in a second because I'm going to be fighting for her as well. But that's not my job, and I shouldn't be doing this. The coach should be doing this, not me. Who am I? Plus, I don't get that many views. Like, I'm just hurting myself at this point. But one thing that I'll always do, and listen, if I know that many people don't know a lot about me, I've been in the military for over 20 years now. And in the U.S. Air Force specifically, if you are from a different country and if you have a bad light of the U.S. military, then like, I would apologize, but I'm not gonna apologize for serving my country. I'm never going to do that, but I do understand the different views that may exist out there about U.S. military service members. But one thing, and I'm in the Air Force, the Air Force core values are integrity, service, and excellence. And for whatever, after I'm done with my service, whatever it is that I do, whether it's YouTube, whether it's, I don't know, greeting people at Walmart, I will do that with integrity, service, and excellence, no matter what. No matter what. So I'm going to stick to that. So if that's the right thing, or the right thing to say, or the right thing to do, or do it to the best of your ability, then I'm going to do that. What's the right thing to do? I know what the right thing to do is, and especially in regards to Katie Lou in relation to NaLyssa Smith, there's the right thing and there's the wrong thing. I'm always going to pursue the right thing. And I'm going to stand on the side of integrity every single time. So let's get into the box score real quick. We're going to evaluate some players here. Let's see. And the coach. So Christy Sides. Let's talk about Christy Sides first. Because again, everything she does is so confusing. It's confusing, it's sporadic, it's unpredictable. The rotations were all different again. Like, I have not seen a string of games or even 2 games where the rotations have looked the same. They've all looked different. So there's this substitution pattern in one game is very different than the substitution pattern in another game, and it's very different than the other game. And what is going on? It just creates too much confusion. At some point, you got to have some consistency with your lineups, with your rotations, with what you're doing on the court. So that first half was extremely frustrating. So what are you like? Some of the things that she was doing were some of the things that we discussed in the master plan, and I'll post this up here as well for you to see if you want to take a look at again at the lineup and the rotational plan that we developed. And by the way, I'm going to be creating another one because it's a whole different game when you get to the playoffs. So we'll do that as well. But so she did some things where I noticed that at the 3-minute mark, she sat down Caitlin Clark, and she wasn't in foul trouble or anything. It just seemed to be part of what she wanted to do. And she sat Caitlin Clark at the 3-minute mark, brought in Erica Wheeler, and also she sat down NaLyssa Smith and brought in Temi Fak-Benley. But in that, I would alternate, right? Like, Fak-Benley should start and then bring Smith off the bench. She did that all backwards, and it's because it seems like they're afraid to bench Smith, and that's a whole nother topic that I actually got into in my last video when I did this player spotlight for NaLyssa Smith. But then she kind of got better. Her Christy Sides got better in the second half as far as the rotations, and then in the fourth quarter she again closed with the most optimal lineup, which again is the Dantas, Boston, Clark, Mitchell whole lineup. So she did that again. They were super successful. Damaris Dantas making me proud. Man, I love her. She's awesome. She hit 2 clutch threes. This team is just so much better. You can tell the difference, right? This team is so much better when Dantas is on the floor, and they're just so much worse when Smith is on the floor. But yeah, so that's pretty much my take on Christy Sides, along with the criticism with the whole NaLyssa Smith situation and the miscommunication. So a lot of room for growth in the whole entire situation. And then let's look at the box score real quick, and let's evaluate each player. So Lexi Hall, again, you will never catch me saying anything negative about Lexi Hall. I don't care how bad a game she has or appears to have on the box score. I will never criticize her. I won't. I never will. She plays with heart. She plays for the team. She plays with hustle, with determination, with purpose. Everything. I just love everything about her game. I love everything that she brings to the table. She, to me, is, a core player of this Fever organization. They have to keep her for the long run. So here's 1 of 5 from the field goal, 0 for 1 from 3, 4 to 4, 4 crucial free throws at the end. So that was really good. 6 points, 1 steal, no turnovers, important, 3 assists and 4 rebounds. So, the value that you're going to get from Hole every single time is just incredible. NaLyssa Smith, we already kind of talked about her, but yeah, 4 of 7. She had 8 points. I think she had all those points in the first. Let's check. Okay, so 6 points in the first quarter. And then 2 points in the second. So all her points were in the first half. Okay, and then Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston. So we have to talk about Aaliyah Boston as well, because I'm also seeing some sort of criticism and some analysis that somehow, and I'll get into Kelsey Mitchell, and I don't know, you probably won't like what I'm going to say about Kelsey Mitchell, but it is what it is what I see, is what I observe. But Aaliyah Boston is the real deal. Like here, the second best player of the Fever is not Kelsey Mitchell. If you really think that the Fever's second best player is Kelsey Mitchell, then I don't know what you're watching or what you're seeing. We can't just I know that Kelsey Mitchell brings the points, right? And it's easy to laud the points. Okay, 30 points, and then she's been scoring over 20 for all this time, and then she shot some threes or made some threes in the clutch. So just based on that, you may want to tend to believe somehow that Kelsey Mitchell is better than Aaliyah Boston. And I'm here to tell you that is not true, that is not correct. No way. There's no way we can put more value in what Kelsey Mitchell brings to the table than what Aaliyah Boston brings to the table. So, in my opinion, if you were to ask me, APO, you're gonna start a team right now. You have first pick. You pick, the two players in the WNBA to start your franchise with. First, I'm not even tripping. I'm not even blinking twice. First, I'm picking Caitlin Clark every day, all day, in the whole league. And I've watched all the teams right now play. All of them, because they've all faced the Fever. I've never watched a game not featuring the Fever because I don't care. And okay, it's a fandom in me, but also the objective mind in me will pick Caitlin Clark every single time. I'm not even a question. AJ Wilson? No, I'm sorry. I am not picking AJ Wilson. And all of you may think, oh yeah, she's the greatest player. Okay. You continue to believe that, and that's okay. Nothing against you. This is also an opinion based and subjective, right? I can't show you objectively why I believe that Caitlin Clark is a better player, but she is. So Caitlin Clark, I pick her first. Second, in the whole league, this is the whole league. I'm not saying this in the Fever. The whole league, the second player that I would pick to start a franchise right now, if you ask me, APO, who would you pick? I'll pick Aaliyah Boston all day. Over AJ Wilson. All day. Every day I would pick Aaliyah Boston. There's no one else. I've seen all these games. There's no one else in the WA that brings that has what Aaliyah Boston brings to the table. Her development, yes, I wish this shit was 2 years from now. I wish I was here speaking in 2026 about Aaliyah Boston's development, but you see the flashes. That pick and roll game between Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, this is a Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic type pick and roll, but instead of Jamal Murray, this is Steph Curry. That is once they really master that pick and roll, and not just Boston, but Dantas that Dantas pick and roll is crazy dangerous as well. But this is Nikola Jokic, Steph Curry type of pick and roll. So I mean, it's scary hours for the league. And her passing, that's why I'm comparing her mostly to Jokic, because her touch around the rim is already like elite. Like her touch around the rim, she did miss the one little bunny late in the fourth quarter where she would, she beat herself up over it. She could tell she was super frustrated because that is, to her, that is in the bank 100% of the time. And, you can tell that she was super mad at herself about that. But her touch around the rim is unlike any other big right now in the WNBA. Maybe Nafisa Collier is one that may challenge her for that. But now her court vision, to those passes that she making, the backcourt passes, all of these different, how she's involving all these different players. Also, like, she's being able to see, almost able to see the same things that Caitlin Clark is able to see. Her development, she's 22 years old. Let's remember that. Her development, watch when she's 24, when she's 25. Listen, this Fever team, if you keep Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Holt, that's the core. That's the core. Kelsey Mitchell can leave, and I'm not saying she should leave. I think the Fever should keep her. She's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying she's bad, but she's not a must keep. I don't put her in the box of must keep players for the future, for your dynasty, to win a bunch of WNBA championships in the next coming years. You need Clark, you need Boston, you need Hall. So that's the core. That's 100% who you need in this team moving forward. That's your core three. And I'm hoping, and I think, actually thinking about this, I actually think that that's the team. Like when we think 4 years down the line, 5 years down the line, and this team is hosting trophies back to back years, who knows? That's what I'm expecting out of this team. You're going to see the constant of Clark, Boston, Hall. You're going to see that. That's what you're going to constantly see hoisting those trophies. Is going to be Clark, Boston, Hall. I'm telling you, bookmark it. It'd be great if Mitchell's there too, but she doesn't have to be. You don't need Mitchell. You need those other three. So anyways, I could get into the box score about Boston, but I really did want to mention that. 15 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. She was absolutely fantastic. She was great. And then Kelsey Mitchell, like we said, I mean, super efficient, super clutch in the fourth quarter. 30 points, and then, you just get the 1 assist. But 30 points, 1 assist. Good. Yeah, solid. She was amazing. She's a scorer. She's a player. She's a hooper, like she says, right? She's good. And I think she's actually going to be pretty clutch come playoff time as well. You can tell she's got that clutch gene. So she's going to be really good. And then Caitlin Clark. I mean, what can I say that it hasn't been said about Caitlin Clark? And I feel bad in a lot of these videos because I tend to talk about so many other things and I don't talk about Caitlin Clark, but I know that everyone else is talking about Caitlin Clark, so I leave it. But I mean, of course, I'm incredibly impressed. Like, I haven't been so excited about a season, about sports, about, everything that we're watching since Michael Jordan. So that's the kind of impact that she's had on me. I started this YouTube channel because of Caitlin Clark. Like, if Caitlin Clark decides tomorrow that she doesn't want to play basketball anymore, this channel I'm deleting this shit. I'm deleting this channel. I don't want this, and I'm not doing this anymore. For what? The whole purpose of me doing these videos and working, and doing this, especially after work and waking up crazy hours in the morning here in Japan, is because of Caitlin Clark. And it's awesome when you get to see games like these, with 35 points, 8 assists, 2 rebounds, breaking records, broke the WNBA season, single season scoring record. She's just breaking records every single day. She's just super special of a player. There's not much I can really say. So I'll just leave it at that. We'll cover Wheeler. Wheeler always she's actually getting really she's been getting better, and she gives solid minutes to the Fever. Like whenever Clark is resting, it's not, the production doesn't drop that much, and she's able to kind of maintain a good pace out there as well. So I mean, huge props to Wheeler, and she's a glue player as well. She brings so much energy. She's so much support for all her teammates. She doesn't, pick and choose who she wants to support. She's not jealous of anyone. She's just being fantastic. Like Bentley, same thing. She brings just so many solid minutes, so much effort, a team player. She's great. And then Katie Lou Samuelson. So I did think that she played too long. Let's see. Was it in the second quarter? Yeah, she played the entire second quarter. Why? I don't get why she played, but she was +6. So that's why I thought, yeah, she didn't score, and people were like, get her out, but she was +6 in that second quarter. Um, So yeah, she didn't score, but she's a good defender. I mean, we're gonna do a player spotlight on Samuelson as well here soon, and I'm hoping to do some of these before the playoffs start. So we'll see. But she provided solid minutes. I don't know why she was in there. Hole needed to come back way sooner than that. Like Lexi Hole didn't even play the second quarter. This is why. Why did that happen? I don't get it. But this is just too many minutes. And she's doing the best she can. She's out there. She's holding it down. I think she's Lexi Hole light, right? She's not quite Lexi Hole, but I think she's a better. Of course, if you look at the numbers this season, Lexi Hole has been lights out. But in general, I think Katie Lou Samuelson is a better shooter than Lexi Hole. Lexi Hole's better defensively, but Samuelson's not that bad defensively either. So she's a good substitution for Lexi Hole whenever Lexi Hole needs a break. And she's bigger too. So Lexi Hole is 6'1", Katie Lou is 6'3", and she's lengthy, she can contest, she can play within the constraints of the team, she's a good teammate. She's good. Like I don't understand the Samuelson hate at all whatsoever. We're also gonna look at some numbers about Katie Lou and the plus minus and the net ratings, and she's constantly in the lineups that do well, that are in the positive. So I don't get the outrage towards Katie Lou Samuelson at all. But now it's not my job to defend her. It's the coach and the team's job to defend her. So please, Indiana Fever, like stand up for your players. And Dantes, I mean, you already know how I feel about Dantes. I've been ever since I started this channel. I've been fighting for her to get all these minutes. I've been clamoring that she needs to be in the lineup to close out games. Um, she had two huge threes. This was great. This was a really good game for her. So, but now what I want to do, I'm gonna switch things a little because we're gonna get into that lineup and the two-man lineup statistics that I told you about. We're gonna do that. But let me switch the cameras. Okay. So we're back to our lineups data. And I want to, for this one, I'm going to specifically highlight two-man lineup combinations and their plus minus as to like when those two specific players, regardless of who else is on the floor, right? Regardless of who else is on the floor, when those two players combined are on the floor, we're going to show the plus minus on that. And we're going to see an interesting trend. And another revelation as well with this one. So check this out. We're going to do two-player lineups. And this is for the regular season per game. We're going to do that. We're going to add a custom filter for minimum of 50 minutes on the floor. Check this out. Check what we're about to find out, because I think this is super important. And I think this is the type of data that you use to sit down NaLyssa Smith and tell her why you're going to make the changes that you're going to make. This is how you sell her to that. So here we go. If we look at the net rating, and of course Dantas is freaking at the top of all of this. But look at actually we'll keep going down here. And all we need to show. Okay. So look at this. Whenever Damaris Dantas and Aaliyah Boston are on the floor at the same time, and this is over 71 minutes, they're I mean by far the best duo combination affecting winning with a plus 25 rating. This is crazy with an offensive rating of 119, a pretty good pace. Even the defense is really good. And then the second best is Fag Bentley and Lexi Hall with like 9 points below. And then Dantas again. Dantas and Hall, Dantas and Clark, Dantas and Mitchell down here. So Dantas with every player from the starting lineup, with the exception of NaLyssa Smith, is on the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, in the top 8 of the 2 lineup combinations. So you need to continue to include Dantas in the starting lineup, but it's not just Dantas, right? You got Fag Bentley, you got really good numbers with Hall, good numbers with Wheeler, and a big amount of minutes. And also with Clark, right? So she's got really good numbers with Clark. If we look at Dantas and Clark, where are they? They don't play that much. Did I pass it? Oh yeah, I'm sorry, it's up here. Of course, Dantas and Clark is the 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is all games, right? Oh wait, did I say at 50? Didn't I? Oh yeah, okay, 5-0. Okay. But look at you want to look at the bottom? You want to guess who's at the bottom? Check this out. Check this out. So this one at the bottom, Samuelson Berger. I mean, Berger barely plays, so we can't really count that. But look at these other ones. Samuelson Smith, negative 13.7. Dantas and Smith, negative 11. Wallace and Smith, negative 10. Clark and Smith, negative 9. Smith and Boston, negative 8. Smith and Mitchell, negative 8. So what is this telling you? That you should not play Smith with this starting lineup. You shouldn't. It yields terrible results. This is across all games, right? Over the entire season. She's not a good match with any of these players. So stop playing her with them. I just, this is the data, and you use it, and you say, look, NaLyssa Smith, look, NaLyssa, I can't have you play with that combination of players because look at what's happening on the floor. But if you look, there's some positive. She's in some positive with some 2-man combinations. So check this out. Smith and Fag Bentley is a plus 4.8. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much Fag Bentley Smith is not too bad. I thought there was another one, but maybe not. But let's look at the last 10 games because, last 10 games is closer to, the recent games that we're seeing. Anything prior to the Olympic break, it's hard to really evaluate. So we're going to lower the minutes so last 10 games instead of the season. So we'll lower the value to 20 and do last 10 games. So last 10 games, we have Fag Bentley Boston being the best duo, and then Dantas and Boston right after that. The second best pair. So again, you can either start Fag Bentley or you can start Dantas. And then, Fag Bentley and Hall, Fag Bentley and Clark. And I just think Fag Bentley has just gotten more minutes. So let's see if I lower this to 15. Okay. But anyways, all of these, look at how amazing these combinations are as far as the plus minus ratings. So Fag Bentley and Hall, Fag Bentley and Clark, Wheeler and Clark, Fag Bentley and Mitchell, Wheeler and Fag Bentley. Who you're not going to see around here is Smith. But look, it seems like Dantas and Smith, that's a plus 9.5 in the last 10 games. Smith somehow just doesn't. It's not a good match with Boston. So if we look at the bottom, it's Smith and Boston, the worst ones. Look at this, negative 15.4. NaLyssa Smith, and Aaliyah Boston on the floor at the same time. And look, it's the entire starting lineup. Look at this. Look at how terrible this is. So Smith and Boston, Smith and Hall, Smith and Clark, Smith and Mitchell. This is what's costing the Fever all these games, because you're starting the first quarter and the third quarter playing from behind because of these numbers right here. Stop it. But you can show her, okay, after these negative numbers, you can show her some of the positive. Smith and Samuelson actually at 6.8. Smith and Wheeler actually plus 8.2. Smith and Dantas actually 9.5. So what it tells you, and if you go back to the master lineup that I drafted, when you bring NaLyssa Smith from the bench and you have her play with bench players, she performs better. And what it appears to me about NaLyssa Smith is that, and maybe you've had this at work, maybe you've had this in sports as well, where you have a kid or a player, and let's say kid, right? Because it typically happens like in Little League and stuff like that. You have a player who's really good, but when they play together with other talented or people that are better players than them, they're not as effective. I don't know what it is. There's something about that they just don't feel as confident, like I'm the alpha in this team, and they're just not as effective. But when they play with subpar players that are not that good, then they rise their level of play in every area. They're just more motivated to kind of say, okay, I'm the centerpiece in this team, in this lineup. Then now I'm gonna show out and go crazy and be super effective. That's what's happening here with NaLyssa Smith. So that's how you have to explain it to her here. So you don't have her play with the starting lineup, and then you have her play with bring her from the bench, and you have her play with Wheeler, you have her play with Samuelson, you have her play with Dantas, and you're gonna see a totally different player in NaLyssa Smith. In my opinion, that's my expectation and what I think it's happening here with NaLyssa Smith. And if you go back, right, like when she was in high school, she probably was the best player on the floor. Like as far as her teammates, she was the best. So they depended on her. She was the centerpiece, so she went off. In college in Baylor, same thing. She was the centerpiece. She was the best player, so she went off. Her first year in the WNBA, she was the centerpiece because everybody else wasn't that good, or maybe because Kelsey Mitchell is not like that person to insert herself in a situation. So she probably was just deferring to Smith. I don't know. I wasn't watching those games, but I would imagine that Kelsey Mitchell was deferring to Smith. And then Aaliyah Boston, being a rookie in 2023, she's not wanting to assert herself either. So she's like, okay, maybe this is NaLyssa Smith's team. So NaLyssa's still like, okay, I'm the most important player here. You know, I'm the centerpiece of this lineup, so let me get to work. I think that's why she was effective, but now she's not. She's not with that lineup, not with Mitchell, Clark, Boston, Hall. There's just too much talent, and Smith just doesn't know how to play within that. So bring her from the bench, but talk to her, sit her down, show her these numbers. Show her, look, now listen, nothing against you. I love your game, but look, when you play with Boston, we're negative 15. When you play with Hall, you're negative 14. When you play with Clark, you're negative 11. When you play with Mitchell, you're negative 10. So we're trying to minimize that and put you in rotations where you are the centerpiece in the lineup. I think this is kind of what he told me. I don't know. We'll see what happens moving forward with this. But this is the revelation with the two-man lineup that I found out. And I just hope that some adjustments are made, especially after we get into the playoffs, because it's pretty obvious here what's happening. In my opinion, it's pretty obvious. You need Dantas in Boston on the floor at all times, or Fagbenley in Boston, and Dantas and Clark, and Dantas and Mitchell. So these are the people that you need. So we'll see what happens. But that is it for today's video post-game reaction. All in all, it was a really good win, but it was a crazy shootout. No defense was played, but I'm glad that the Fever were able to win and lock up that 6th seed. That's important, right? That you're able to lock up the 6th seed. Now you kind of know that you're going to be playing the Sun, and we'll talk about that matchup more as we get closer to that. But that's my analysis and my post-game reaction for the Fever versus Wings game. if you have any comments, if you have any feedback, if you know, whatever you want to share with me, just go ahead and do it in the comments. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate the support that you guys have shown me in social media, on YouTube, and about my videos. I really do appreciate it. Some people are finding value, so it just motivates me to do this even more. So again, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.